Back on the winning track, the Milwaukee Brewers, the first place Milwaukee Brewers, back on track with one of the hottest pitchers in baseball. We'll get to that story and a whole lot more. Looking ahead to the homestand. That's coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I have to admit, I wasn't feeling all that good after Thursday's game, and going into Friday night, I was like, man, we got to stop the skid right here. It's only one game. I just had a bad feeling going into San Diego after that first loss when Cronenworth hit the home run. And they lost on Friday night, lost on Saturday night as well. And I'm like, oh boy, oh no. And I know a lot of you on Twitter thought that the roof was caving in. We've done this a few times with the Milwaukee Brewers, but they bounce back and get a win. We'll talk about that. Tobias Myers, man, what a job that guy has done. An ace? Well, we'll get to that coming up here a little bit. What the Brewers are going to do about their rotation here in the very near future. Who's going to be the odd man out? Hudson, man, that guy's an all-star. I don't care what role he is. To me, Bryan Hudson is an all-star. Devin Williams coming back on the mend. We'll talk about his what he's going to be doing next to get himself ready for the late July. And, of course, big week. Brewers are back home. Always great in the summertime when the Brewers are home. Good to have you along. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Get us on Google, Spotify, Apple. We're on all the major downloads. Wherever you download your podcast, your boy Chuck Freeman is there talking Brewer baseball with you. Love talking with you guys. The great Brewers fans, we'll see you out there this week. Hopefully, I'll be out there Wednesday throughout the weekend against the Cubs. Please stop by and say hello. You see me wherever you see me. I'll be in and out of the press box, down on the field, whatever. Please, I love to always see you great Brewers fans out there, because you're the reason why we're the number one podcast, Brewers podcast on the internet, because you great Brewers fans. I run into you at Summerfest. I run into you at the ballpark. I run into you, my kids' Little League games, wherever it is. Follow us on YouTube. Search the video version of this on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. Man, I saw a lot of on Twitter worried that the Brewers were going to get no hit by Dylan Cease. They were going to do this. This was the beginning of the end. The Brewers, I believe this is the fifth time they've had a 3-game skid. Fifth time that they've had a 3-game skid this year. And I'll be honest, some of it I felt that, okay, is this the beginning? Because we know, and the manager has even said, Pat Murphy has even said, hey, a lot of people don't think we're very good. There's a lot of critics out there who don't think the Milwaukee Brewers are very good. There's a lot of Brewers fans who don't think the Brewers are very good. But yet they keep away from those extended losing skids. 3-game skid, you'll take that. There's been 5 of them. 4 for sure. I think there's 5 of them. Yeah, off the top of my head. But, they're one of the more consistent teams in baseball. You can't take that away from them. Through all of this, injuries, you name it. They've gone through a lot. And we're not even at a halfway point of the season. What are we through? They're 12 games over. What are they? 78 games they're through or so. They've gone through a lot. But here they are, still in first place with a sizable lead in the division. Not insurmountable by any means. 5 up on St. Louis, 7.5 on Pittsburgh, 8 on the Cubs, 8.5 on Cincinnati, who many, including me, picked to win this division this year. But the Brewers just keep on bouncing back. Important that they bounce back and won on Sunday after losing those first 3 games. You didn't want to get swept in San Diego. That's a 2-game skid right there. So you went 2-1 on the first leg of this road trip against the Angels, and then you lost 3 of 4. So you went 3-4 on this road trip. 7-game road trip, you went 3-4. Hey, not great. Not the worst thing in the world. You'll take it. They're 5-5 over the last 10 games. I'll take that with this Milwaukee Brewers team. And again, one of the more consistent teams in baseball. Sometimes, again, during when they've gone through these little bit of bad runs, we thought, oh boy, is this coming? but they bounced back. And I got a big series coming up with Texas. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Tobias Myers, somebody tweeted at me tonight and asked me, is Tobias Myers the ace of the staff? Right now, he's pitching he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Not only in the staff, but in baseball. Find a guy better in baseball, and I'm taking this from Todd Rosiak from the Journal Sentinel. I'm not going to steal this. I'm going to steal it from him, but I'm going to give him credit for it. He says in the 4 starts in June, Rosiak says that Tobias Myers has got a 1.53 earned, but teams are batting 1.53. 100 teams are batting an batting average of 153 against him. I knew I got the point written on my script here, on my notes here, but his ERA, the ERA against him is 0.71. Teams are batting $153 against him. Took me 30 seconds to say that. Yeah, teams are batting 153 against him in the month of June in 4 starts and a 0.71 earned run average. He's shooting for player of the month, pitcher of the month in baseball. You watch. He goes out, if he has another solid one between now and July 1st, he will be pitcher of the month. Right now, he's pitcher of the month. And yeah, but you know what, I want to say ace of the staff, it's still Freddie, obviously, but Myers is pitching great. But who do you trust in a big moment? If you were to throw anybody out right now for a one game winner take all, you'd throw Freddie out there. You still would throw Freddie. As great as Tobias Myers is, it's still Freddie is your guy. But Myers, man, stack him up with anybody in baseball right now with those type of numbers. Team's batting $153 and a 0.71 earned run average. Very cool. And 4-0 for the month of June. 4-0 for the month of June. I'll take that. Tobias Myers, I said this on this last podcast, the last time after he pitched, I said, man, Myers is here. He's here to me. He was one of these guys that they brought up. And if, because there were so many injuries in the rotation, now you can't send him down. You certainly can't send him down. If he pitches bad his next outing, you going to send him down? No. He's earned enough equity at this point to be here for a while. Let's just take it one game at a time with him. But so far, we got to love it. A large reason why this team is afloat in the month of June. 4-0 from a guy who has been a journeyman at the age of 26 throughout the minor league system. Tobias Myers, amazing. Just amazing what that guy has done. One of many great stories. One of many great stories on this roster. Another one is Bryan Hudson, a guy who was DFA'd by the LA Dodgers. The Brewers traded for him, gave up nothing for him, basically. And Tim Dillard said this on the broadcast last week. Why can't middle relievers be on the All-Star team? Why do we discriminate against middle relievers? Okay, why don't we take a better look at them, especially in today's game? Okay. Well, in today's game, when a starter goes 5 innings, and Myers went 5 innings. Myers went 5 innings on Sunday. So we need to take a better look at middle relievers when they're having extraordinary seasons. Again, I'm stealing from Todd Rosiak. As in 27 appearances, Hudson, a 0.86 earned run average, and the batting average by opponents is 135. Hudson, 0.86 ERA, a 135 batting average. I guarantee you there's going to be guys who make that all-star team. Guarantee you. There's going to be guys who made the all-star team who aren't even close to the numbers that Bryan Hudson has put up. Again, I don't care. I don't care that he's a middle reliever. To me, the guy belongs in the all-star game. Okay? And like I've told you, yeah, I don't get too up or too down about my guys making the all-star game from our team, but for crying out loud, if you're going to recognize guys in the first place, Bryan Hudson, it would be a crime. Where would we be without Bryan Hudson saving our bacon a couple of times? Bryan Hudson, no doubt about it. 27 appearances, 0.86 ERA. I mean, that says all-star to me. Like I said, you look at that all-star team, that's when it's chosen, and Bryan Hudson isn't it, you try to find me guys who he's not better than this year. Bryan Hudson, to me, all-star, one of the big reasons why this team is in first place. Yeah, Tim Dillard, right on. I mean, Dillard's right on. Why not Hudson? I believe that's what he said. Why not Hudson? I agree with him. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. This show is brought to you in part. I should have read this right off the top. My bad, as we say. PrizePicks. PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedon and use that promo code LOCKEDONMLB, all in lowercase, for your first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks.com/LOCKEDONMLB, all lowercase, LOCKEDONMLB for that first deposit match up to $100. We'll tell you more about PrizePicks coming up here in a little bit. We come back here. When we come back, we'll talk about Devin Williams. Devin Williams is coming back, and I think everybody's going to move down a notch in that bullpen, which is a good thing. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Chuck Freeman here. Good to have you along here on a Monday as we get back to the work week. Some of you guys taking vacation. Well-deserved, I might add. Our hardworking state of Wisconsin, or wherever you are around the United States watching us, or around the world for that matter. We got people watching us all over the world on YouTube. It's just amazing. We're downloading our podcast. You know, I love sports. I love them. And you know what? I don't make any bones about it. I'll bet on sports. If I came out and told you, hey, I don't bet on sports. No, of course I do. You darn right I do. And, you know, and just not baseball. I love, basketball, college basketball. I love it, man. And FanDuel is the way to go. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Again, go to FanDuel yourself and check it all out yourself. A ton of credibility. They've been all over the world, FanDuel, and you need to head over to FanDuel right now. FanDuel.com/lockedon. If you think of getting in some action, FanDuel.com/lockedon. Start making the most of your summer. And if you've been riding the Brewers like I've been riding, you're okay. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. All right. Look forward to this homestand that's coming up. The Brewers take on the Texas Rangers in game one of the homestand coming up on Monday night. They got 3 with the Rangers, 3 with the Cubs, and the Rangers and Brewers coming up on Monday night. SiriusXM, the SXM app. Search Brewers. You'll get all 162 of the home team call on SiriusXM. Devin Williams. The news we're getting from the Brewers brass here. Of course, late July is when Devin is due back. But he is going to be taking a mound session after the game on Wednesday, the 26th. I think the 26th is Wednesday. Let me look at my calendar. Yeah, the 26th is Wednesday. So the Brewers have a game that day. He'll take the mound session probably in the bullpen before the game. But he did some light tossing, played some catch back in May. I believe in Boston he played some catch. Somewhere mid-May he played some catch. And, checking out on the mend. I mean, Devin Williams coming out of that bullpen will be fantastic. Saving games. Our all-star closer coming back. And, taking our time with this guy. Late July is still what it's going to be. And, people have asked, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen with Trevor McGill? Trevor McGill knows that he's keeping the spot warm and doing a heck of a job keeping that spot warm for Devin Williams. McGill, he's our 8th inning guy. Now look what you got. You got an 8th inning, you have a 9th inning guy like that. You got 2 guys, and then you got everybody up leading up to those guys, including Hudson, Pagero, Piamps. We thought that Uribe was going to be a part of this, but he's down with the knee surgery. But Devin Williams coming back late July, going to be throwing off the mound Wednesday, and of course we'll try to have some news for. I'll be at the game, covering the game on Wednesday. Wednesday night or so, we'll try to have some news and what we learned about Devin Williams in his bullpen session when he gets to throw off the mound. But good for him. Good for him. I know it's got to be killing him not be able to pitch because the guy's a competitor, not being able to pitch with his team's in first place too. Not being able to contribute to these guys. He knows he's coming back to close. Okay. I mean, they'd be a fool not to close him, obviously. I mean, with his stuff, the airbender, I mean, I don't have to tell you how good Devin Williams is, but Devin Williams is the closer. And McGill and everybody just moves up down a notch, and you put Williams back in as a closer. You put him back in as a closer. But he's going to build up to that. He's got a long way to go. We're talking about a month away from him coming back. He's going to have some rehab. I'm sure he's going to go up to Appleton or Nashville and get some time in. But yeah, I was excited to hear that Devin Williams will be throwing off the mound on Wednesdays. He's coming back from the back. Ken Rosenthal, national baseball writer. You know how I like to pick on these national guys because I like to tell them, and ask them, have you heard, tell them about the Milwaukee Brewers. Ken Rosenthal put about a tweet, for our show coming up on this week on Monday, we're taping our show. Give us your questions. I put a tweet out. I said, Ken, do you know where Milwaukee is? Have you heard of the Brewers? We'll see if I get any response. I asked Ken if he knew where Milwaukee was. He's welcome to bring his bow tie to Milwaukee anytime or write about the Brewers or whatever. And this great story that we got with our favorite baseball team. And I asked him, seriously, if you've heard about the Milwaukee Brewers. I just curious if you heard about the Brewers. We'll see what my response is. Because I'm curious. I think some of these national guys truly don't even know Milwaukee even exists or the Brewers are. Or if they do, they just choose to ignore it. So we'll see what Ken's got to say. Like I said, Texas and the Cubs coming up here really, really soon. We're going to get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And also, again, Monday nights and Tuesday nights game, both at 7:10 on Sirius XM. We come back, we'll talk about this upcoming homestand, huge homestand for the Brewers. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. PrizePicks, big sponsor of this show. PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, over 5 million active members. All you do is pick more or less from 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Maybe you like Yelich over a hit total. Maybe you like Adames over a hit total. Couple them together, and there you go. Couple 3 players, 4 players, whatever, all the way up to 6, whatever you want to do. Get in all the action. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You could turn $10. You could turn $10 into $1,000. It's as easy as that. You think you know the Milwaukee Brewers? Get into PrizePicks. Player and stat types, they're all there. You just all the majors and runs, home runs, hits, they're all there. Pitchers, you name it. Baseball is the only thing we're focusing right now because, we got Game 7 of the Stanley Cup coming up on Monday night. You can choose from that as well. But we got baseball. Then it's all baseball. It's all baseball all the time with PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for that first deposit match up to $100. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, PrizePicks, for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. Also, SupplyHouse. SupplyHouse. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades. SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete line of inventory, over 200,000 parts, over 400 of the top brands, and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service with the friendliest folks in the business. Talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trademaster program. Every Trademaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, discounts on every order. Join the thousands and thousands of trade pros already benefiting from the free membership at SupplyHouse.com/T-M and order HVAC, plumbing, electrical supplies from anywhere. Just a few clicks with SupplyHouse.com. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Down the stretch we go here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Yeah, that tweet I got from about Tobias Myers. Daniel says, is Tobias our ace? He's sure pitching like an ace. Let's just enjoy him while we can. I got to say this. The odd man out in the Brewers starting rotation, they will not need a fifth starter until July 2nd. It's going to be Rodriguez. He gave up 2 home runs on Saturday night, and I put out a tweet. I said, I'm not blaming Rodriguez for this. First of all, you got to score some runs. The Brewers, didn't score some runs until late. 4 of them they put up in the 9th inning on the grand slam by Terang. But Rodriguez, don't be coming down on him at all. Nobody should be coming down. Oh, Rodriguez. No, the Brewers, he's up here by necessity. And somebody tweeted at me Saturday night when I said, I'm not worried about Rodriguez. Whatever we get out of him is fine. He probably shouldn't be up here to begin with, but he's pressed in the action. And somebody came after me and said, Chuck, pressed in the action. He's pitched 66 innings in the minor leagues. That doesn't matter. Keston Hiura, look how many at-bats he's got in the minor leagues. And he's not a major league everyday player. He's proven that he's not an everyday major league player. Keston Hiura. With Rodriguez right now, maybe down the line, but right now, when Rodriguez is on the mound, you kind of hold your breath. All right, he gave a couple of long balls. He went scoreless through the first 3. Next time through the order, they were going Yahtzee on him. So Rodriguez, they'll likely skip his spot in the rotation. I would think he's probably not going to pitch against the Cubs this weekend. But July 2nd is the next time the Brewers need a number 5 starter. I'd be surprised if it was Rodriguez. I told you about Hernandez. I said last week, I told you they're DFAing him. And sure enough, the next day they DFA'd him. Rodriguez, I'm not coming from you with any facts on that. My hunch is that, when I look at the leaves on this, I see that Rodriguez he's going to be down at the minor leagues, and they wouldn't need him again until necessary. Somebody else is going to get a try that 5th spot, but I don't see Rodriguez making another start. I really don't. Again, they're going to skip his spot in this next time because they won't need one till early July, but they will not need a 5th starter in Rodriguez. It's just not ready. He came up here. He's learning with every start, but he's got to continue to learn down at AAA. Yeah, minor league pitcher of the month for May, but not ready for the major leagues. I don't care if he's pitched 66 innings in the minor leagues down at Nashville. Doesn't make him ready for major league pitching. There's a big step up. Big step. Some guys can do it. Some guys can't. Myers has done it so far. We'll see if he's able to sustain it. Other guys have had that success too. I just don't see Rodriguez being that guy just yet. So Texas in town for 3, and then the Cubs next weekend. Man, we're always playing the Cubs. The Cubs next weekend. But with this series with Texas, Freddie on the mound on Monday, and I would guess that Freddie's going to go Sunday against the Cubs. Brewers haven't announced that rotation yet, but I would think that Freddie's going to go Sunday against the Cubs. You got to have Freddie go against the Cubs, don't you? Wilson and Ray. Wilson on Tuesday, Ray on Wednesday. So, okay. Those 3 guys in this rotation going. We'll take that. Freddie, Wilson, and Ray against Texas. Texas struggling a little bit at 37-40, 3 games under the 500 mark. Expectations are obviously high with a championship team like that, but they're off to a slow start here by their terms, by their standards, 37-40. The Cubs come in. Cubs got beat by the Mets on Sunday night. I think they got shut out. I know it was 4-0 for the longest time. 5-2. Cubs scored 2 in the 7th. But Severino was the guy for the Mets. He was just shutting the Cubs down on Sunday night. And that's a guy who I like to see the Brewers peg if they're looking for another starter, Severino with the Mets. If you're looking for another starter, if the Mets are not going to compete and they're going to fall again, the Mets of Severino would be a guy I'd go after. But it sounds like the Mets, as of right now, aren't selling. All right, 7:10, the broadcast on Sirius XM on Monday night, Brewers and Texas Rangers. And of course, we'll be right back here. After the game late Monday night, talking Brewers baseball with you and our first place team as they bounce back. Yeah, I think we all held our breath thinking, oh boy, they're going to get swept in San Diego. They've only been swept one time this year, and that was against Philadelphia on the road a couple of weeks ago. But no, the Brewers, the key game, bouncing back for a 6-2 win on Sunday. Got a lot of those runs early and then settled in. Tobias Myers goes 5 innings. Bullpen takes over, and the Brewers get a much-needed win to finish off that road trip. We got to go out west coming up here in a couple of weeks again. It's going to do it for me. Chuck Freeman. Follow us on Locked On Brewers on Google, Spotify, Apple, on all the major downloads, on YouTube, our growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. By all means, please follow me on Twitter. Hey, anytime you guys tweet at me, trust me, I read them. I read all your tweets. You want to DM me if you feel safer that way, feel free. Ask me any question you like. Chuck Freeman, Freimund. All you everydayers, thanks for tuning in. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.